So today we're going to focus on releasing fear and allowing fear to dissipate and to identify the fear. And so I want you to allow breath to come, be more mindful around your breath as you sit back and draw your shoulder blades back. Hello, Kelly. And then inhale and exhale. And just observe your breath as you inhale and exhale. Again, inhale and exhale. And I want you to identify something that in your life has caused some fear, right? So some fear that has entered your life. It could be around your family, around yourself, around your health. Just identify that. I'll give you an example for myself. Yesterday, on Thursday, I had to have a big scan, right? A scan because they thought maybe there might be cancer back in my brain, right? So this scan was to help identify, right? Maybe there was still cancer there in the brain, but they don't let you know the results for like 4 days, right? So you can sit in this like fear, right? Okay, this fear, it could be cancer, right? It could be this big giant tumor growing in your brain that you're going to like at any minute, like, take over your brain and collapse, like, or whatever, identify what that fear is. So I could see like, okay, that is a fear. And I can laugh about it because like, I ended up, making decisions like throughout that week, not to go to like kind of these places, these fear-based places, and then again meet that with like some breath and like, okay, bring you some positivity and bring like, okay, how do you feel in the moment? Like there's clearly nothing to be worried about right now. And of course, and not of course, but it turned out that it was not what they thought it was. And not that they thought it was that, they just wanted to make sure it wasn't that, but it wasn't that. And it was something that is just totally, normal that happens, after radiation. So, but the thing is, we could tell ourselves these stories, right? We can create these dramas, these like melodramas in our head. So I want you to identify what is that you have been creating in your head. Like, what is that melodrama of fear that you have been playing out in your head? Because there's got to be something, right? We're human, and hundreds of thousands of years ago, like it was a very legitimate fear, like we were going to be eaten by a tiger on like an African savanna. So like going to bed at night was like probably pretty dreadful or pretty scary, right? Because you just don't know what's going to come out and get you. But now we have like other, fears that are not going to necessarily be life-threatening, right? So just identify, sometimes it's a fear of failure. Sometimes it's a fear of not being successful, like, right? Successful. Fear of being not a good parent. Fear of not being a good partner. Fear of not making enough money. Fear of not showing up for your family members. Fear of some people have legitimate fears of driving or of scarcity, right? Of not having enough food. So just identify, like, what is the fear? What are the fears that have come up for you in the past? And just identify it. That's the first step of letting the fear go, is at least becoming aware of it, right? Becoming aware of it. And how does that fear make you feel? Like, what is the worst thing that can happen? If you lose all your money, what could happen, right? If you don't have food, what could happen, right? If you are not, quote unquote, in your mind, successful the way you want to be successful, what could happen? So let's look at they say the other side of fear. So like, what's on the other side? So if they had told me that I had cancer, what would that look like, right? Okay, well, I think I'd have to get in, more radiation or more surgeries or, whatever, more drugs, not mood altering drugs, but things for the cancer. So for you, what does that look like? Let's go deep into the fear. Like actually see the fear in your head, like play it out, look at it in the mirror. Like, what does that fear look like? And once you have identified how that fear plays out, just notice anything that came up in your body, any feelings. Maybe you became a little more anxious. Maybe you looked at your clock. Maybe you thought about food. Think about like the triggers that happen. Sometimes when we go into fear, other triggers start to happen. Maybe we want to escape, right? Escape from that feeling, because fear doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like, who wants to feel fear? You never see anybody advertising like, if you get this awesome, alcohol drink or something, you're going to feel more fear. Or if you eat this, you're going to feel more fear. Like it's always about like creating peace and joy and escape from the troubles. But like when we look at what's up, like really look at what's up, what are the feelings that arise for us? And can we sit with that discomfort, right? Can we sit with that discomfort without trying to run away from the feelings, right? So that the last 4 days, there are moments where I did want to escape, and ways that I did that was by, sometimes watching like a show on TV would help. And I did other things that would help with, I guess, healthy escapism, like doing yoga. And I had an event, where people came over, so I was actually staying busy, which again, sometimes working or staying busy is a form of escapism too. You really don't sit with yourself until you're actually just sitting with yourself in meditation. And I did sit with myself every day for 30 minutes. I did sit with myself as well. But then I noticed throughout the day, I'd make myself really busy. And I made myself busy to kind of, not think too much, not think. So just notice with your own patterns, are you tending to make yourself very busy so you don't have to address the fear? Or are you allowing for the spaces to feel the discomfort? So just notice, don't judge it, just notice it. That's all. Why are we staying so busy? What is it? What are we working towards here? And once you have identified that feeling, just allow yourself to make peace with that feeling. So if it causes some, your heart beats a little faster or a little bit more anxiety, and just breathe into it, right? Breathe into it and allow it to just, the chemicals and the release to like allow your body and your mind to work together. Like yesterday, I sat down with the doctor and he revealed the scan. And before he did that, think about the intensity of the feeling, right? And I'm not on any antidepressants or anti-anxiety or anything like that, because I was in the past. But I felt that for me to really feel the feelings, I had to get off of that stuff, even though it can be very, very beneficial. And I totally don't knock it at all. But I think for me personally, I had to let that go in order to feel the feelings. And the feelings are not always comfortable. And yesterday was an instance where I was feeling the feeling so much, before they gave me the results, right? I was feeling so much like I could feel my heart beating like out of my chest. And then they gave me the good news, right? And then there was this like release of probably oxytocin, just like that, a feel good chemical, and you almost feel high. So the body is so incredible that when you do have this intensity, maybe a fight or flight kind of feeling, that then your body will be met with dopamine and oxytocin that has natural endorphins that will come relieve you from that that moment, that stress, that anxiety. So in allowing the body to work in that way. But sometimes when we dull it, we can't actually have that natural release, right? And to make peace with that feeling, and then to know that like you've looked this fear in the face. You know it now. So when you, throughout your week, if you happen to go back to that fear, again, you can use this exercise to look at it, to observe how it's making your body feel, and then just walk through the feelings of being uncomfortable in that moment. Yeah, and be at peace with it. It's a practice to be at peace with those feelings. Now, I want you to place your hands onto your heart and take a big breath in and a breath out. One more big breath in and a breath out. And say to yourself, I release this fear. So say it to yourself, I release this fear. And I make peace with this fear. I will not let this fear control my thoughts. I will not let this fear control my thoughts. The mind is more powerful than the fear. I am not my thoughts. I am in the moment. Fear does not exist in the moment, but only in my mind. In order for me to dissipate fear, I must be in the moment. And continue to breathe. And slowly coming back to the present moment. And again, making peace with that fear, making peace with that thought, because it might happen, you might have that thought again, but you can also make peace with it. When I deconstructed my fear, I realized it led back to one thing, which might resonate with a lot of you too, is death, the fear of death, right? So by identifying that I have a tumor in my head, brain tumor, again, after the first time, could possibly mean death, right? That leads back to death. And I don't particularly want to die right now. So what's underlying your fear, right? And could you go back even further, the layers. For a lot of us, it is death, because we're the only animal that is aware of our own mortality, right? So that in a sense is it could bring fear. But it's also a huge driver, right? Why do you think the pyramids were built, or, all this kind of like success, or, esteem, and, because it's kind of like we want to make a mark on the world. So just identify what the root cause is, okay? And you can open your eyes. And I know this was pretty heavy, but I guess it is Halloween coming up. Would love to hear about any fear if you wanted to share, or maybe it's too personal, but if you're brave enough, just tell us any fear that came up for you. It's interesting. I think it's pretty interesting what came up, and if you don't have any fear, let us know, because you might have the secret that we're all looking for. Okay. Awesome.